everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie and this is all about my life after gastric bypass surgery. In today's video, we're going to talk about some pretty heavy changes that might happen after surgery and kind of delve into why I'm so sad. I was working on a completely different video and I was actively editing something else to go out today. And when I needed to put the finishing touches on yesterday, it just didn't happen. And part of that is because I'm going through a pretty rough time right now. And I know I say that a lot, so I want to preface that this is different than the stress and the craziness that I've been experiencing with work and my schedule and things like that. This is a little bit on a deeper level and has to do with the therapy that I've been seeking out and trying to work on the mental health side of this journey. I have talked a lot about the mental health side of this journey being the most important. I've talked a lot about transfer addiction and understanding and trying to figure out, why I cope with the things the way that I do, trying to get to the underlying factors of why I behave and turn to the things that I do to shed light on how I can deal with that moving forward. But one of the things that I am working on in the last few weeks in particular have been more eye-opening and a little bit more heavy. And something that I don't hear people talk about very much are the other kinds of mental changes that we can go through during this process. This is not exclusive to weight loss surgery, bariatric surgery at all. I think this is related to just weight loss in general, but with bariatric surgery comes massive and relatively quick weight loss. And so the difference between who I was just a couple of years ago and who I am now is very jarring and hard to wrap my mind around. I have touched on this in a few different ways. Changes on who I am and understanding who I am. There have been some videos where I've talked about this where, I'm struggling with what's important to me. What are these new things now that more doors are open to me? What am I actually interested in? What kind of person am I? Because so much of my life I lived before only being able to do things that were within my realm of capability, really, and not really feeling like I had the world at my fingertips, so to speak. And now that I feel like there's more opportunities available, I'm feeling like I'm trying to understand who I am a little bit better and a little bit deeper. That can be as simple as things that I like to do and ways that I like to spend my time, and as deep as some of the deep-rooted issues that I've been drumming up in therapy. When I do videos, for example, on how much I'm hiking in the summer and how much of that is now part of my life, that's not interesting to me because it's exercise and like, oh, look at how fit I am now. Like, to me, that is a fundamental change in who I am. I was not a hiker. I was not somebody who enjoyed spending my time like that, exerting myself like that, being outside. I didn't even find that I liked the view enough. Like, it was hard enough for me that the views and the experiences that I got with hiking weren't worth it to me. So I just didn't find any of the pleasure in those types of activities before. And now I'm seeing myself in a different way. I'm enjoying those things, and it's more than just, I like to do this now. And maybe somebody who hasn't experienced that kind of deep level change would kind of think that it's more surface level, but to me, these are fundamental changes in who I am, how I like to spend my time, and how I prioritize myself and my being, just existing on this planet. On a much deeper level, though, I have started to realize how much of my life I have spent honestly having deep-seated self-esteem issues. I have convinced myself for a very long time that aside from, maybe when I was a teenager, I have been very happy with who I am. I have not had a lot of self-esteem issues. And aside from, little things here and there that pop up, for the most part, I am very confident and very comfortable with who I am as a person. I've started to realize how much of my life I have really spent convincing myself. Now, we could be saying, why are you oversharing? Like, this is okay, that's interesting and everything, but how is this related to weight loss? How is this related to your bariatric journey? And that's something I came to terms with, I think, last night. So it's pretty fresh and pretty raw for me. These self-esteem issues, and the way that I have been presenting myself, and the way that I am, and I've convinced myself that I am this person, is deeply rooted in these self-esteem issues that I think were created because I grew up overweight. And every time I can think of where these things may have come from and why I may have been this way for so long, I keep thinking of examples of times in my life growing up from a very young age, extremely overweight, and every one of these crucible moments in my life that have added to that self-esteem issue and have added to me continuing to pull away in certain aspects in life. The reason I bring this up, and the reason that I am being vulnerable enough to talk about it on camera, is that I am changing as a person. Not only am I focusing inward and going through therapy, which ultimately, no matter what weight you are, you're going to drum up some stuff and you're going to start understanding yourself better. But I, as a person, I am not the same person that I was before I started this journey. And part of that is the weight loss itself. There's a certain amount of confidence. There's a certain amount of just changing that I do. I'm trying to figure out what my priorities are in my life. And that's really difficult and really emotional to go through, in addition to the fact that I am realizing I don't want to live like that anymore. I don't feel the same way now as I did when I was almost 400 pounds emotionally. I don't feel the same way anymore. And so I don't want to live my life like that anymore. But it's also deeply saddening to me to realize how long I lived my life like that and feeling that way. And so I'm going through this really tough transition right now where I'm acknowledging I don't want to be like that. I'm sad for how long I've been like that. And I'm also unsure how to change because of how long I've been like that. Trying to figure out how to be a different and better person with all of these things that occurred to me and with me and about me when I was growing up in that environment and growing up with those thoughts and that kind of feedback and that kind of internalization of feelings is really tough. These are issues that aren't going to apply to everybody. They're not. If you didn't grow up overweight, if you didn't have issues, deep-seated issues from growing up overweight, there are a lot of different reasons that people go through their weight loss journeys at different points in their life. Not everybody grew up overweight like me in a very toxic environment with very toxic people around me. That's just not the reality for everybody. So this level might not be completely fundamental for everybody, but I think that there's a certain amount of emotional change that we go through, because no matter when in our lives we're talking about, when we're overweight, we change how we act a lot of times. We change how we behave, how other people, how we want them to perceive us, how we want to come off. There's the trope of the funny fat friend, the person who uses humor and self-deprecation as a way to get ahead of the possibility of somebody putting it at you. Well, if I'm doing it about myself, then we can all laugh about it rather than people laughing at me. I mean, that's a very real thing that people experience, and I've experienced in my life. There's a lot that we do, and we change ourselves to protect ourselves. And now that I am chipping away a little bit at my protective shell, I'm realizing just how thick I made that shell. And it's a really uncomfortable place to be. It's really uncomfortable, and it's the difficult part of this journey. And I will always stand behind that statement, that the mental health portion of this is the most difficult part. The weight loss itself, the food itself, those things are only as difficult as we make them. And they're not easy. I'm not trying to say that it is easy, but it's not the most difficult part about this whole process. And I am almost exactly 2 years post-op and still struggling with a lot of issues that I don't think anyone really prepared me for, because these are things people don't want to deal with. And these are things that people often don't talk about because they're so uncomfortable. So because this is so fresh in my mind, and because this is something that I really feel is important and is an important piece of this journey, I wanted to share that. I wanted to share where I'm at right now and what some of those struggles could look like, aside from just what my portions are, what food I'm eating, how much weight I'm losing, whether or not that is taking a mental toll on me if I'm in a stall. Those are things that people talk about a lot. I don't need to lend too much more of my voice to that, I don't think. But this one's heavy. And this one, I think, is something that you experience if you start going through this process the right way, where you are turning internally to figure out how to be successful long term and how to deal with the internal things that got me to the point where I was when I decided to get surgery. And I think that uncomfortable journey doesn't really start until you're a significant way out from surgery. So, yay, surprise! That's exciting. So that's what I have for you today. Always remember to stay happy, healthy, and look at the big picture, and I will see you guys in the next one.